What's going on? Welcome into the Casual Gaming News Conversation. I'm Nick, that's Connor, and this is your weekly gaming news podcast from Co-op64. Connor, how are we doing this morning?
Bright and early on a Friday morning, 4-day weekend for me.
What?
Stoked about that, so really can't complain. Excited to do some yapping with you on this Friday. How are you feeling?
Doing all right. Got a fun weekend ahead, playing some games, playing some Death Stranding. Connor, we got to connect this world. It's out there. We got to connect it. And then Death Stranding 2 is coming out soon. Should we have connected? Yes. That's the question we'll be asking and hopefully answering during that title. But no, doing all right. Just been a fun week, busy week, a lot happening, getting ready for Summer Game Fest, getting ready for Switch 2. I saw a post on Bonnaroo's social saying, Bonnaroo, 20 days away. And I was like, oh, damn, that's really close. Like, that's like really, really close. And then I was like, oh shit, the Switch 2 and SGF happens before that date.
I appreciate that everybody's excited about the Switch 2 and the launch. I am also excited. I just wish people would stop reminding me of how long we have, because I would like it to just come out of nowhere and just be like, we're a few days away. Time to get the full hype train going.
Yeah.
But for me, 2 weeks out, I'm like, can't get too excited yet, because then I'll just not stop thinking about it.
I mean, I haven't been stopped thinking about this thing since April 5th. like I've had an issue since April 5th of thinking about this thing, because we're going to be able to, in just a couple weeks, play as a fucking cow in Mario Kart. Like, are you kidding me?
That's what it's all about, man.
That's what
That's why you get out of the bed in the morning.
Moments like these, Connor, this is what it's about. But yeah, no, it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm excited also just the midnight launch, like the way that you and I are talking about it, of like just hanging out together, going and getting that console, hanging out with the people. And then the next day for me is a ton of fun. And by a ton of fun, I mean a lot of driving, because I need to go and drop off or grab Brady's Switch from your place, go drop it off at Brady's. Then I need to go to Best Buy, grab my case that I ordered. And then, only then, will I be able to sit down and relax.
You should probably be able to get the case that you ordered
At midnight?
I would imagine.
Maybe.
Because I'm probably getting my case that I ordered like with the console.
Yeah.
I imagine they're going to hand me all the stuff that I bought on day one.
I'm curious, because I could see them being like, we're only dealing with people that are buying the Switch 2 right now. But
I didn't really get all them. I got the console, I got Mario Kart World, and I got a case, and that's it. But then I got Bonanza, but that's a month later.
Yeah,
I have to go back to Best Buy for, which is not a close drive. It's like a 30-minute drive.
That's Brady's purchase at this point, because you and I are going to be on a plane on that day.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. So shout out to Brady. You're getting Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. Yeah, we should just let him go pick it up. Well, is he going to be able to pick it up if it's under my name?
Let's go and hand him like your high school student ID. Let it fly. Oh, no. This show is amazing. I love talking to you about games. And I also love talking about housekeeping. If you want to support this show, head over to patreon.com/coop64, where you can get this show 3 days early. You can get the Casual Gaming Conversation 3 days early. You can also get a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation. This week's that just went up is the betting special for SGF. If you're like me and cannot get enough SGF content, you gotta head over there. For those who don't know, SGF is Summer Game Fest. Multiple people asked me this in the chat throughout the past week or so. Summer Game Fest used to be E3. Now Jeff Keighley does his own event. It still has some showcases around it. We're going to talk about one of the showcases around it in a coming news story. But yeah, if you're excited about all the showcases that are happening throughout the summer and just the hype that is June showcase season, the Summer Game Fest betting special was terrific. This upcoming week on Casual Gaming Conversation, you and I are giving our lengthy long shot for the 2 showcases that are happening that weekend. That's gonna be a bunch of fun. Have you started to chart any of those down, get the ideas swirling?
No, I have not. I usually kind of do that on the fly. Like I wake up in the morning when I'm going over to record that podcast, and I think about it as I'm getting ready, and then I write them down, and then let it fly when we sit down. So I
think I have 4 out of my 6 that I'll write down, nice. Which I can't wait. The hard part is ever since we combined the 2, because we want there to be some interstitial content that's not only Summer Game Fest season content. Yeah. We also have the SJF betting special, so I normally rely on Xbox predictions. And this year, it's tough to predict Xbox because
I have no idea.
We got a lot of known quantities from them.
Right, but they must have something, because their surprises are stuff that they've already announced.
Yeah.
Oblivion would have been a huge surprise. Shadow drop at your showcase, it's like, damn, that would have been the headline. of that showcase for sure. And everybody would have left that showcase and been like, I'm going to download Oblivion, and everybody's getting hyped on that. And that would have given like that whole presentation a whole different air. That's gone, which is great because we got to play it earlier. And then Gears Reloaded coming to Xbox and PS5. I think that they might have done that because it was coming to PS5, and that's going to be the new story there, rather than another version of Gears 1 just up-res to like 4K isn't as exciting. So maybe that's why they did that. But that's another announcement that they could have had at their own showcase. So it's weird to predict anything when it comes to Xbox because, I don't know, they must have some sauce if they're announcing stuff before their own showcase. So I'm excited to see what's what.
Yeah. Also over on the Patreon, we have a bunch of bonus content, like coming up, our Last of Us Season 2 review. Connor, 1 episode left. You and me are going to be hopping on the mics at 10:01 probably on Sunday, having a great time talking about The Last of Us Season 2. And then we have things coming up, like the plan is to do a Death Stranding 1 spoiler cast before Death Stranding 2. We also want to go and have fun moments throughout the summer covering SGF stories and content. Connor's going to be doing a Q&A, a bunch of fun stuff coming down the barrel. But also there's so many podcasts already over there just at that $5 tier where you can get legitimately, at this point, it's got to be like 20 hours of bonus content.
Yep. And it's just going to keep growing too. So.
Yeah, that backlog is getting nuts. And then at the $10 tier, you can go and get Recollection Retro, the Co-op 64 podcast, and exclusive TikToks. One of those every single week. And then at the $25 tier, you get the chance to write in for the Co-op 64 podcast for a topic that we might read off. And also, you get your name read at the end of every single podcast we do. Twitch streams, normal week. Pokemon Nuzlocke, Sekiro, Nine Souls.
Yep.
How was Nine Souls treating you?
The game won't shut the fuck up, dude. The game yaps a lot. In a Metroidvania, it's so weird because usually they're so lonely, and usually you're just kind of exploring the map, and it's very gameplay focused. I don't think I've played a Metroidvania that talks this much. I played for 3 hours and I beat one boss, and it wasn't because like I was spending time talking to the chat, of course, but it's going into cutscenes a lot. Two things can be true at once. Yeah. There's going to be a ton of cutscenes and the game starts pretty slow. And also you can slow down the gameplay by talking to chat a whole bunch. Right. And so when I was watching this stream, because it was a great stream, this was like a fun little break I had in my week where I was editing the SGF betting special and watching you stream. And I would just have you on and I'm like focusing and I'm like, he hasn't played the game in 7 minutes. And then I'll be like, he hasn't played the game in 10 minutes. And then I'm just like, hey, what's up? And then you start playing the game and now I'm like, damn, I seem like a jerk for thinking that he isn't playing the game because he's trying to dial it back in now, which is always the fun dichotomy of streaming where we love talking to our chat so much. If you want to yap it up with us, up into a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday stream, you're going to get all the yaps you want. We were talking about Expedition 33 versus Final Fantasy, and that was a fun discussion. We were talking about the new Superman trailer from new in quotes. It's been like a week or two. I love that trailer. I legitimately I'm not a Superman guy, never read a Superman comic. I think BVS and Justice League are fine movies, not good, but fine. Snyder League? I'm going to throw not Snyder League. I mean, Snyder Cut? I mean, it works. I love the Snyder Cut. Yeah, I love the Snyder Cut. But I'm not one of the, like, you go on Twitter and there's a war going on between the Snyder people and the James Gunn people. And I'm like, they can both be interesting. Snyder Cut is like an 8 out of 10 movie for me. Like, I think that movie's great. But when it comes to James Gunn's Superman, there's the line. I wasn't really sold on Corn Sweat. I think that's I think so. On him being Superman from the first trailer, he didn't talk a lot. And then there's the initial moment in the trailer where Lois is like asking to interview Superman, and the way he's talking there is very Clark Kent. Yep. And then when he sits down to do the interview and she starts asking the questions and he sits forward and goes, Miss Lane. And I'm like, that's Superman. Yeah. Like right there. Like, it's so funny to see like the switch. And God. I love that. I love that shit, dude. Like, so like, I don't know. I'm stoked on this movie. We got a busy weekend, but I gotta ask, when are we getting Mission Impossible? I have no idea. Do we just like rip it right after this podcast? Do we late night Friday night? Let's go and see a little dun 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 dun. I'm stoked. I know that it's a little bit mixed on the reception, but I think that it makes me more interested to see like where I end up landing on
Totally.
it. And even a lesser Mission Impossible movie is still better than like 90% of movies
I
for me.
really wanted to this week leading into this. I've just not had time. I really wanted to rewatch the last 3 of these. I wanted to watch Rogue Nation because I think that that's arguably the best action movie of all time. I want to watch Fallout because that's arguably the best action movie of all time.
I gotta say it, Fallout is so much better.
When was the last
than
time you
Rogue
watched
Nation.
Rogue Nation?
In college.
Connor, you need to mature. You've matured,
dude.
Your palate has changed. That movie. If you go, I need you to drink like 6 Red Bulls beforehand. I'm popping Red Bull taps right now. 6 Red Bulls, and then just go and like dial in on that movie because it is so much adrenaline.
Mission Impossible Fallout is like not only one of the greatest action movies of all time. It's like one of the greatest movies of all time.
It's a masterpiece movie.
I love that movie so much. And the idea that Dead Reckoning and now the Final Reckoning were even going to come close to that is fool's gold. Like we were not going to hit that again. So even taking a step down from that, though, I think that Dead Reckoning was good.
I think Dead Reckoning took 2 steps down, though. Is the hard part there.
So what do you think this is? Is this going to be a step down from Dead Reckoning?
I hope that it is. The way that I've heard is the movie starts out and it's a rough hour, and then the last 2 hours, the last hour and a half are like fucking gas. And for me, it's like, okay, I'd rather have that than just like a baseline solid good.
Here's what I've heard. So we're just talking on speculation here, is that it focuses a lot on like the history of the series and like kind of remembering stuff. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I like that. It reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 3, where it's like you have so many threads that you're trying to tie up here, and looking back is important when you're going to end a franchise like this. So spending 40 minutes kind of tying up some loose ends and feeding it all into this final story, I'm okay with that.
We need to get back to the housekeeping, but is this the final Mission Impossible movie?
Yeah, I hope so.
I think there's a chance that it's not. The question is, what summer blockbuster will he work on next? Is it another Mission Impossible, or does he go back to the Top Gun well?
I kind of want him to do Tom Cruise to just do something else. That would be cool.
I would like him to do something else also, but he's late 60s now?
Yeah.
Like he
said he's going to do it till he's 110.
Yeah, like
he's saying in like interviews and stuff.
He's a machine, obviously. I'm just curious because it has been great ever since Top Gun to have every couple of years a Tom Cruise summer blockbuster, turn your brain off, get a big ass popcorn, and have your mind blown by some awesome action set pieces.
Watch him risk his life.
Just watching this man dangle from a plane on the start of Rogue Nation. It's so that movie's so good. Chat, people watching this, I don't know I went with chat. We're not on Twitch right now. People watching this, I need you to go right now. If you're watching this on Friday on Patreon, do me a favor. Go, I believe it's on Peacock or Paramount Plus. It's probably Paramount Plus. And watch Rogue Nation tonight. And tell me on a scale from 1 to 10 how good that movie is. And if your answer is lower than a 9, you're lying to yourself. And if your answer is lower than a 9.5, you're probably lying to yourself. That movie's fucking unbelievable. Back into the housekeeping. Discord, join the Discord. Over 2,500 members yapping it up about games, hanging out, having a good time. It's been a great time in the Discord recently, seeing just between sports threads during Indiana Pacers games and just different shenanigans happening there. It's been a ton of fun. So head over to the Discord, talk about some video games, hang out with us. It's a good time. Merch, Cope64store.com. Get some sweet ass merch like this mug. And reviews on Apple Podcasts gets the podcast out to more people. Lastly, we have the comment section down below over on YouTube, especially, where we read every single comment to make sure that we don't mess up anything. If we mess something up during this show, let us know in the comments down below. We will set the record straight on the next episode. Not a lot of comments about that. But the last episode was like a fever dream. It felt like the Kingdom Hearts 4 crowd was excited for you, and then there just was not a ton of other news to even be incorrect on. But we got some big news today. So if we were incorrect about something, if I mispronounce somebody's name, if Connor goes and says that the showcase is happening in December this year and not June, let us know in the comments down below. Headline number 1, The Last of Us developer Naughty Dog working on a second unannounced game other than Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. Neil Druckmann confirms. This is Wesley Yimpel at IGN. Quote, Naughty Dog chief Neil Druckmann has revealed the studio has a secret unannounced second game in the works other than Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. In an interview with the Press X to Continue podcast, Druckmann discussed his ongoing roles as Sony-owned Naughty Dog. On Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, Druckmann works with two game directors, Matthew Gallant and Kurt Marnigue, and is co-writing the game with narrative director Claire Carey. Druckmann did not say which director is working on the second game, however. Quote, "There's another game that's being worked on at Naughty Dog where I am more of a producer role, and I get to mentor and watch this other team and give feedback and be like the executive in the room," end quote, he said. Connor, this is the official confirmation. There was rumors swirling about there being a second Naughty Dog game. This is the confirmation from the head man himself. What's your thoughts about another Naughty Dog game?
It's funny because I saw some conversations about like, oh, he messed up here or whatever. Like he wasn't supposed to say that. It's like, well, he's the president. He can say whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
Like it's his studio.
Nobody would. He doesn't have a boss that he's looking up to that's upset about it. Maybe some Sony exec or something like that could be upset. But yeah, no, he runs Naughty Dog, so he gets to decide how that information is disseminated. But what's your thought process on this one?
I'm stoked that this is happening. I have been saying for a while here when we talked about PlayStation's future on the bonus podcast that I would really like them to focus on supplemental smaller games to fill out the library, just because it feels like the consistency of which we're getting releases nowadays feels a little slow, and the conversation is getting a little bit off the rails, especially when you have games that don't hit, like Concord, and how we fear Marathon and Fair games aren't going to hit in the live service space. If you have hits that are great games but that are smaller, interspersed between those big swings, it kind of softens the blow of a failure when you were constantly talking about positively about PlayStation games. So with a new Naughty Dog game, you have an expectation of quality. I'm curious to see if it's a new IP. I think it's an Uncharted game. I would put money on it being an Uncharted game. That feels like the obvious choice. Could they be going back to the well and go to Jak and Daxter? Like, that's possible. People have been asking for that for a really long time. I doubt it. I don't think Naughty Dog, I don't think you put one of the greatest studios working today on a cartoony game. But if you're making a smaller game, then I think it might be smart and fun to go about it that way. I want it to be an Uncharted game. Don't focus on Nathan Drake. Focus on some of the side characters like they did in Lost Legacy, and have that high octane set piece experience that you expect from Uncharted. 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, perfect. Which is so funny when we talk about like short games now, when we say 8 hours, 10 hours, that's how long Uncharted 2 and 3 are. They're like 10 hours long.
Yeah, they're about 10, 12 hours.
I think you can beat them in 8.
I mean, people that got to speed. Let's go and continue on with your point, though.
But so, like, the fact that games have just gotten so long that those are considered, that's not right. It takes 22 hours.
10 and a half hours is what we got from how long to beat. When you look it up, it says 22 hours initially, but it is 10 and a half hours, which makes sense.
I love these kind of games, and I love something that you can have an experience with and not get tired of by the end of it. Even games that I love to death, I think, can drag on quite a bit nowadays. So a tight 10-hour experience from Naughty Dog, a tight 10-hour experience from Sony Santa Monica that we've heard they're doing like a God of War game that's shorter potentially. I would love to see more of that from Sony first party.
Yeah, I want to start out with, if this is a Jak and Daxter game, I'm going to fucking be pissed. I'm going to be so upset.
You don't want to say that on your end, Nick. The Jak fans will come for you.
All 14
Big Mac
of these
is going to be pissed.
Mother efforts are going to just come out of my place with pitchforks and torches. No, like you don't put LeBron James in the G League. Like you don't have greatness and go and put them like downwards into something that like is just not even good. Like
not even good.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like Jak and Daxter is like it is at this point, we're talking about a beloved IP that people have great memories. This is like when you look at the history of PlayStation at this point, Jak and Daxter is like a maybe 30th highest rated franchise. It's not like a major IP anymore. So we're gonna go and have some of the best talent in the world. I know Neil isn't like directing this game. He's not even writing it, but he's executive producing it, most likely. Like, you're gonna put Neil Druckmann on a Jack and Daxter game? Are you freaking kidding me? No, get some new idea in here. I don't want it to be Uncharted. I would like an Uncharted game. I don't need this team to be working on Uncharted right now. I think that we're in a spot where we could have Uncharted. Put somebody else on it. There's no reason to put Naughty Dog on it. Have them make new
experience. Games. It's their IP. I don't think they want somebody else to make an Uncharted game. They don't even acknowledge Golden Abyss.
Yeah.
Like ever. So I think that if I'm Naughty Dog and I have this beloved IP that I worked on and I'm probably protective of, like, and I have the opportunity to make a 10-hour Uncharted game, I think I'm taking that opportunity. But I'm Mr. New IP. I prefer the new IP, but we're already getting that from Naughty Dog, that it's doing something safe, something that I'm ready to have more of at this point. I want that experience again of the Uncharted globe-trotting adventure. So
yeah, I mean, I would love another Uncharted game. I just don't necessarily need it from this team, because the way that I see this is, let's roadmap Naughty Dog at this point. We're getting probably this other title and Intergalactic. Both these games are going to be on the PS5.
You think so?
I do. I think that if the rumors are true that it's been 3-ish years in development, I think that it's swung songs to PS5.
Which comes out first?
Intergalactic.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Intergalactic does come out first.
I think if it's a 3-year game, then 3-year in development cycle, and it's a 10-hour video game, it will come out first.
I mean, I would love that.
Because look at Uncharted 4 to Lost Legacy.
Yeah, 2 years, a year and a half.
Yeah,
like,
but the development is so different now. But you can look at that, and if they have some sort of basis, and if it is an Uncharted game, it's like, I think the turnaround of that can be much quicker.
I mean, we're talking about 10 years, so it's new engines, most likely, a bunch of new tech that they got to work with when it comes to their previous Uncharted projects.
You're asset flipping a lot of stuff for Lost Legacy.
But with that being said, when it comes to Naughty Dog, who is, in my opinion, we're talking the best in the biz. Like, they're obviously on that Mount Rushmore at this point. I think that it's hard for me to be like, okay, let's go back to the well on Uncharted, when you can be the company that takes a couple of swings. No matter what, we're all funneling back into one moment, and that is The Last of Us 3. In a long time, there will be a Last of Us 3. Neil having some concept of an idea, I don't know if, from everything that I've seen about that man, he would be able to go and sit down and be like, it's a good idea, but I'm just going to, like, put it away.
He said it again this week.
What, it's another concept of an idea?
Just that what he meant what he said during that. Which I think is interesting, because, like, he went, like, he kind of backtracked it a little bit
a couple
few
months
weeks ago,
yeah.
that there isn't, like, a guarantee of more Last of Us, which I think is just kind of giving him an out if it never happens. But him saying again that, like, I was not lying there. Like, I have an idea, I have a story, there's another chapter or whatever. I think we're getting another Last of Us game.
So,
it's just, but I'm glad they're not working on it right away.
So here's where I'm at. I think that Intergalactic seemingly is going to be this awesome space experience. You're alone, you're on a planet, they're dealing with themes of religion. I'm stoked about that title. But I think that this, I don't even want to say B team, this secondary team is going and working on whatever they are. There's a chance that they might take up the mantle for the next Intergalactic game. I could see that being the case. And then Neil starts working on The Last of Us 3. So whatever the side project is, I don't think that it's going to be a multi-game franchise that, like, really spins off. It could be an Uncharted game. I would be okay with an Uncharted game. I just want the best in the biz to be working on new IP as often as humanly possible. That's what I like about From Software so much right now, is, like, sure, we've gone back to the well on Elden Ring a couple times, but, like, they didn't just rest their laurels on Dark Souls. They went and made a Sekiro. They went and made a Bloodborne. They went and made an Elden Ring. They were changing that formula. Rockstar, they only got those 2 IPs that they're seemingly working on, but those are the 2 IPs that, like, they take so long. You got to get them out and everything. So when we're talking about these best in the biz type developers, I would prefer the FromSoft approach than the Rockstar approach of give us new ideas, give us new things to go and play and new characters to fall in love with. That's how, like, I like to think of the fact that there were 6 Final Fantasy games before we got Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barrett. And honestly, I know that Final Fantasy 6 is a very beloved game and that crew is beloved, but, like, it takes a long time to get to new ideas with new characters and new stories that we fall in love with. I want the best in the biz working on something that gets to that point.
I'm really interested about the philosophy at Sony First Party Studios to seemingly have multiple teams now after it felt like we did this before, where a lot of teams had multiple games going at once. Naughty Dog had Uncharted 3 and The Last of Us being developed at the same time. And then everybody across the industry, not even just at Sony first party, seems to be folding in to one team, focus everybody on the one big IP. You can see that with Rockstar. Rockstar used to make a bunch of games all the time, a bunch of smaller stuff. Now it's like every division of Rockstar, which they have a bunch of different studios across the country, across the world, I think they all are doing GTA 6. It's which seems to be what everybody's doing. But now we're splintering back out. And I'm curious, I prefer this just because I would assume we get more games. I just wonder if quality will dip. And why do this rather than make a new studio? And I think that we're kind of seeing why with Sony first party making studios, it not going well, or they a fresher studio just not delivering the goods, like with Fire Sprite or
Firewall.
Yeah, I get
one of those
two
two.
mixed up. In Concord, I think that using your teams that you know can deliver the goods, it probably gives Sony more confidence in them to have two games going, and that's a better bet for them rather than spinning up something new.
I think it's a simple reason in this case. It is you have Neil Druckmann executive producing on this. Like, in the same way that I believe Todd Howard did executive produce Indiana Jones for Machine Games. Like, you want your best to be overlooking what's happening in this process. Do I think that this team at Naughty Dog is extremely fucking capable without Neil Druckmann's talent to go and make it an unbelievable video game? 100%. But we're getting a stamp of approval on a lot of these decisions where there could be certain pitfalls that a lesser experienced studio could fall into. Whereas now we have one of the best in the biz go and be like, yeah, no, this is a good decision. Like, let's keep this going. Like, I think that Neil cares, obviously not just as the president of Naughty Dog, but like just for his own career, cares a lot about the way that Naughty Dog is viewed as the prestige amazing video games. All we do is create bangers, and I don't think that it's something we get shipped out the door at this point from Naughty Dog Studio without it being a certified banger. And so now that we have this secondary team, and it is him executive producing seemingly, like I say executive producing, I don't know if it's going to be co-writer, all that stuff. There's going to be a moment where it probably says Neil Druckmann executive producer real early in the credits. I think that whatever that game ends up being, whether it's an Uncharted or a Jack game, God forbid, or they go back to the well on Crash for some reason.
You're a hater.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I like when we can let things lie pretty often. Like, I do like sequels, but we don't need to like go in.
You would like another Uncharted game, but you don't want another Jack game. So you are a Jack and Dexter hater.
I guess.
You haven't played one of these games.
I spent a long time. I remember jumping around like when I was like 7 years old, like platforming as Jack and him doing the flip, and I'm just like, I'm too dumb for this game. But like, we're talking about like, I think there's a reason that Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter are left behind at this point. It's not that these are bad games. It's if you want that experience and it's like arcadey and has a little bit jank to it and has these distinct art. It's a PS2-esque experience, and I love PS2 type of experiences. South of Midnight, one of my favorite games from this year, feels like a PS2 game. Captures that magic, has modern sensibilities and good storytelling and other things that I really enjoy about that title. Like the music's off the charts. I don't see a Jack and Daxter being Game of the Year. And Naughty Dog only makes Game of the Years.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I just think that if you're going to have a small team working on something, it's okay to do something weird and something that's not going to win you Game of the Year.
I'm okay with it being weird and not winning Game of the Year or getting nominated is more what I was alluding to. It's okay. That's fine. It's more, can we go and have this title be the next franchise from Naughty Dog? They haven't missed in a decade when it comes to their output. Like, all they do is create phenomenal games in these franchises that we love. We now are getting a new one. I think that getting another new one would be awesome. I also think that at this point, Sony's strategy is kind of brilliant. We're going to talk a lot about Sony's strategy in the next story, but have your two best studios. I think that definitively your two best studios, if you're looking at Sony first party, I think no one would bat an eye, is Sony Santa Monica and Naughty Dog. Both of those are seemingly, both of those studios are seemingly working on 2 games at once. And I think that it makes sense when it comes to the creators that are associated with those studios. You have Cory Barlog's game, you have the next Neil Druckmann game, and then you have IPs that other people are able to take up, which I think does level to give some credence to the statement that it is an Uncharted game. Of like, yeah, no, give them an IP that they already know and love.
Which they've already done.
Yeah, when they could do it again. But lastly, are we seeing this last game this year? The game that we're discussing.
See, that's the thing. Is it's weird that he's saying this now. Why say it now? After 3 years of development, why not just say we're working on 2 games earlier? If you're spoiling a reveal of another exciting Naughty Dog game, or you want to like set expectations maybe to be like, we're working on something else, look forward to it, kind of sprinkle out a little bit of details, and then have a big reveal soon-ish. You can talk about it in the
next story.
next story if you want. But yeah, do you want to just hop into that?
The last thing is, if it is Uncharted, does it include Nathan Drake?
No. And I hope it doesn't.
Okay. Headline: Sony's next PlayStation State of Play will reportedly be coming in June. This is Chris Gillian at BGC. Quote, Giant Bomb's journalist Jeff Grubb stated during today's episode of Game Mess Mornings that other, end quote, reliable, end quote, insiders were saying they hadn't heard anything about a May event from Sony coming this year. Quote, I haven't either, end quote, Grubb said, quote, and that's because something's happening in June. It's a June thing. Now, is that going to be a big showcase? I don't think so, end quote. Grubb said back in February, according to his sources, Sony hadn't yet decided whether to hold its annual PlayStation 5 showcase this summer or a smaller scale State of Play. In today's claim, he says the company has likely opted for the latter. Quote, I said a couple of months ago that I heard that they were discussing going back and forth about doing a showcase or a State of Play. Sounds like they probably settled on a State of Play, end quote, he said. Quote, I'm not 100% about that aspect of it. It's probably a State of Play though, but I have heard June, end quote. Grubb then noted that his sources were less willing to discuss when Sony's next presentation will be compared to his previous discussions with them, leading him to believe, and then in parentheses, but not knowing for sure, and now we're out of parentheses, that there were a big announcement being kept under wraps, end quote. Connor, this is such an interesting story, and I want to go and start here. Hallelujah, we're getting more Sony stuff this summer. We were so afraid.
Dodged a bullet there.
Woohoo, dude. We were so afraid shooting the latest casual gaming conversation that there was not going to be anything for Sony. Like, people still came out and watched that episode and had a great time with it. We were going off the fact of there's been a Sony showcase the last 5 summers, basically, or a Sony presentation the last 5 summers. It's probably going to happen again. And then just rumors of it's not happening in May. Yeah. It's not happening. We were like, oh, shit. And now Jeff Grubb finally comes out of the woodwork and goes and says, what's up? It's happening in June. Mm-hmm. Connor, how excited are you for a potential Sony State of Play?
I'm excited. I think that based off of how State of Plays have gone in recent memory, they have set expectations really well, where I think that for the most part, they deliver one big announcement, and then maybe a couple third-party check-ins, maybe an announcement or 2 from that department. And then you get some like indie love in there, some smaller titles, and then you leave feeling like you got a 7 out of 10 presentation. But you leave with a good taste in your mouth because you have that final announcement, your Saros, your Ghost of Yote announcement, and the fact that if we are getting something that they did the Ghost trailer already with the release date, it's like, okay, that could have been the headline of this State of Play.
We need to talk about that. Like, that is, in my opinion, the biggest question mark WTF thing that I'm taking out of this. I was getting really convinced that we weren't having a State of Play because of that trailer, because they already gave us a amazing marketing beat. And so my question is, do they have a State of Play that is so good that they don't want their biggest IP on this year, their biggest game for this year, to get washed away in the shuffle?
I think that they do like a gameplay presentation in July or August for Ghost, and that's a separate thing. They've done that in the past for their games. I think this presentation is going to end with a first-party announcement of some kind, and that's it. That's going to be your big PlayStation thing.
Okay.
And that's great, in my opinion.
We're both under the assumption September State of Play, it's happened once again for 5 years at this point. Mm-hmm. Is there a chance we get out of this entire presentation without hearing Ghosts of Yotei?
I would put money on it.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Why? Oh, you just showed it. You just showed it in a long trailer with the release date. Like, why show it again right now? Unless you're going to do a full gameplay breakdown, there's no point of showing another trailer.
And that leads me to go and say, why the hell is this not a showcase? And let me dial it back in. I think that there's still a chance that this is a showcase. And Grubb's reasoning, and I left that last part in there, of Sony's being more secretive about this state of play than any other rumored state of play that I've ever been looking at through rumor mills and stuff like that in the past 5 years. We know about a state of play months beforehand. We know sure as fuck when it's going to be about a month out. Guaranteed, basically. Like, it works like clockwork of, yep, we're going to get a May state of play. It's happening by the end of May, 100%. Like, Jeff Grubb last summer had to go and defend his honor. Going and saying, it's going to be May, it's going to be May, it's going to be May, and then happens like the last day of May. I expect this showcase to be probably in the first week of June, by the way. We can get into that in a moment. But we know about these things. The fact that they are really tightening up the screws on these rumors makes me believe that there, one, could be a very big thing, and two, it could be a showcase, and they don't want that to just be out there when it finally drops. Hey, it's a showcase, rock and roll time. Because I think that they have a really easy opportunity to rerun the playbook that they did in 2023 when it comes to the finale aspect of that showcase. 2023 showcase was bad. It was a tough time, but the saving grace was we got 8 minutes of Spider-Man gameplay at the end, and it was fucking awesome gameplay. It was super sick. I think that they can run back that exact play of, hey, it's a showcase, and the last thing that we're going to leave you with is a taste of what is right next for us. Like, it's going to be more Ghost of Yotei. Let's show all the different intricacies that make this a step up in this franchise in the same way that Spider-Man did, but showing off Peter going absolutely insane in the Venom suit and everything. Like, let's do this. Let's rock and roll and have this moment. I can't wait for whatever this is, but I do think that there is some level, I would say 30% chance still that it is a showcase. I would lean that there's a really good chance that we're getting cover-to-cover showcase. Also, it has been 2 years since you've used that moniker. I understand that you think that we're never going to get that moniker back again, probably until the PS6 announcement, which will be called the Future of Gaming Showcase Part 2. But I think that there's a good opportunity right now where it's so simple. We know Seros gameplay is happening this year. They've said multiple times, we are getting Seros gameplay this year. If we're teeing that up for like a February release date, fuck it. Put that in there. Get us gameplay. Get a release date for January or February and have it be this pop-off moment. Yotei, coming out soon. Marathon, we're going to talk about the struggles of that. I, at this point, don't assume we're going to get that date in there unless they are really just being like, nope, we're going to stick with it and we're going to put our foot on the gas and we're still going September as that release date and everything. But if you have that coming out, another opportunity to market the hell out of that game. Like, and then if it's June showcase, Kojima, cook us up something. We like, your game's coming out in a few weeks. Let's get something out there. Let's have some fun in the sun. There are so many titles. I just said 4 titles that if all 4 of those were to show up in a showcase, fuck it. If 3 of those were to show up in a state of play or anything like that, you can mark it as a showcase because the amount of Sony Studios logos that would be shown alone would give it the right, in my opinion, to be there. And then you throw in one surprise. You throw in, hey, God of War, we're getting something God of War. Cory Barlog, just a name and a date. Cool, go from there. Whatever it is, makes it worth it. And then we can talk about third party, which we're going to talk obviously a lot about SGF and stuff like that. Do we get a tease at The Wolf Among Us 2 and finally getting a date there. There's so many different games that could show up at something like this that would want to be marketed by Sony, that especially if it's a showcase, more eyes go to the showcases than State of Play. You can have an amazing moment here.
I think that if you do a showcase and you do Ghost gameplay, Saros gameplay, a look at Marathon, and one big announcement, people are going to be upset that they called it a showcase. I just think that it just sets an expectation that you're going to get a bunch of announcements like you did in 2021.
21 and
Wolverine
23.
And no, we didn't get like any announcements in 23.
We got a lot of announcements. They just wanted to announce. We Concord, Fair Games, Marathon were all announced during that showcase. It just was a lot of live service.
Yes. So I'm talking like for like the one that people like 2021.
Yeah.
You need a bunch of announcements for Sony first party. I think check-ins is not going to do it for a showcase. I think a check-in in a state of play for some of these games and then a first party announcement at the end is great. I think if you come away from a Sony state of play with a big third party announcement, a check-in on Saros, and with like some gameplay or whatever, and the new Naughty Dog game getting announced at the end, that is a fantastic state of play. You put that in a showcase and add on gameplay of Ghost and gameplay of Marathon, I think people are upset.
I think that would be an amazing showcase from that team.
The expectations from what we saw from the 2021 one, where people were like, this was great. And even then, it was 40 minutes of and then 10 minutes of really good announcements. 10 minutes of
the greatest. It is the greatest 10 minutes because it's just Sony logo, Sony logo, Sony logo.
What was it exactly? It was Wolverine.
Into Gran Turismo, into Spider-Man 2, into
God of
War Ragnarok. Yeah. Yes. So it was 4 trailers in a row of Sony Studios logos popping up, which you could argue and debate, like, was that the best way to do that? Because you could like spread those out throughout the showcase and had it be a little bit more chopped up and everything. I think while I was watching it, I was like, these 40 minutes are good enough. And then those last 10 minutes were portal scene Avengers Endgame level hype. Like I was losing my shit. You were losing your shit. It was a great time.
You and I just have different perspectives on like what we're looking for the expectations for these events. But I think you set the expectations low with the state of play and then you exceed them. And with a showcase, you set the expectations really high and you set yourself up in a position where you are struggling to exceed those expectations. I just think that it's smart to do the former, personally.
So let's go here with it. What if we get 2 first-party announcements that are legitimate announcements and the check-ins that we've discussed, maybe 1 or 2 of them. Maybe we don't even get Ghost. It is Marathon. It is Saros. Or we don't get Saros. They saved that for a September state of play, which I think is also very likely that we do not get Saros this June, that they're holding that one for September for whenever that release is, which I think if we see it in June, it's going to be a spring game. I think if we see it in September, it's a summer title most likely, or maybe even like April next year for Saros. Can't wait for that game. Holy shit. But I do think that it is interesting to be like, okay. And once again, we just did our showcase predictions, which was a ton of fun to be like, let's go really broad scope with this of like what we could actually see at a showcase. I do think that as we're getting more news about it, dialing in what that is, I think that you really just need 2 announcements. I really think that you just need 2 just general announcements too. Like it could be a third party and a first party. It could be 2 first party. It can't be 2 third party. But if we get like Dragon Quest 12 and Resident Evil 9 and Naughty Dog's next game alongside a couple other things, that's the other part of this. We're not even talking about first party in the sense of where things are like on the sliding scale of hype. Because if you have Naughty Dog coming back out with another game and it is a Naughty Dog logo to close that out, I think that is much bigger than even a Ghost of Yote, because I just think that Naughty Dog, best in the biz ordeal. Even Sony Santa Monica coming back out in it, title screen, Cory Barlog directed. Bang, just go and wrap it up. I would be losing my fucking mind.
What do you think we get first from those 3 that you just mentioned? Or I guess all 4. Intergalactic, new main Sony Santa Monica game with Cory Barlog, the God of War side story that is rumored, and the Naughty Dog 3 years in development game.
I don't know. I think that we will get the Naughty Dog. I think that if the God of War game exists, we're getting that sometime, like Shadow Drop Game Awards, something like that.
That's
like,
what I was thinking.
Real soon. I don't know if that game exists. Like, I feel like that was, and I remember having this conversation as the rumors were coming out about this. It was around the time we were reviewing Avowed, where I was like, I have not seen a credible source leaking this. I don't think so. Someone get in the comments on that. But I remember it being, this person said it, so I'm going to hop in on it legitimately. And then like I was seeing like stories like 3 leakers down the line being like, I think this because this person said it. And I'm like, wait, we can trace it all the way back here.
I am almost positive that I watched a clip. I was in a restaurant waiting to be sat, and I specifically remember this, that it's Jeff Grubb talking about the rumored trilogy.
Okay.
And him being like, people being like, it's the Grease trilogy, and he's like, no, this is the game that I've heard of is the Greek prequel game. And that's what I think. That's what I think that comes from.
Which would be awesome, and I'd be stoked. And yeah,
I think it's real. If Grubb is saying it, then
I think that anything.
And based off of what we're seeing from Sony first party structure,
yeah, they're working on 2 games.
Working on 2 games. Yeah, it makes sense.
From those 2 studios, I think those are the only 2 studios that I would be like going. Oh yeah, Insomniac can work on 7 games, and they just make great games. But those 3 studios, in my opinion, are the 3 best PlayStation studios, and so they have the keys to the castle. I know that we disagree on that, but they can do whatever the hell they want. I do think, though, now getting into, we talked a lot about this being a showcase, and I said 30% chance. Where are you at with it on percent chance that it's actually a showcase?
0.
Nice.
I'm gonna be honest.
I like that. So
he doesn't sound confident that. He sounds pretty confident that it's going to be a state of play.
I think that this is a little bit of cover your ass sort of deal of like, get expectations low. I don't want my name tied to showcase rumors anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's a showcase, great. And I think that that's where he's at, but he has no confirmation one way or the other. And I think that the other part of this is just like, this is, we talk a lot on this show, and I think that this is why I love doing this show so much with you. You and I have, I think, really solid insight to the industry because we've been paying attention to basically everything that's been happening for about a decade of like seeing trends and seeing how these things work. The part that this has not like leaked out previously is weird. Like this is very much not a normal standard going into showcase season. Normally the leaks nowadays for a June showcase, we're shooting this May 23rd. The leaks would be, we're getting Astrobot sequel. We're getting whatever. Like last year, I remember going into work and being like, all right, like let's get after it. Let's have a good time. Oh shit, Astrobot is probably going to be part of the showcase. That just leaked like 2 days beforehand. Like we get that type of leak or announcement, not, hey, we actually might have a showcase or a state of play. So I do find it to be a little bit odd. I think there is a chance. But if this is a state of play, is there anything that's like you want to dial in being like, this is going to be there, or I need this in the showcase?
I think that we've kind of touched on a lot of stuff, so I'll just throw out the prediction that I had for the long shot. I think that there's a chance you show Guerrilla's next game and tease it. I think that they hit with Horizon Forbidden West was supposed to be a PS4 game. And they're like, let's hold it for PS5. And then obviously it came out also on PS4. But I think that in this instance, they clearly have the ability to do 2-in-1 console generation. And I think this generation is going to be longer. And I think that if you're turning around and doing another Horizon game, I think that process is easier than starting from scratch, obviously, on the same console as well. Same engine, Decima engine. By God, what a great engine. That they show a similar tease to what they did at the Sony or at the PlayStation 5 reveal event. And it comes out in 2 years, in a year and a half or so.
Yeah, I think that if we're getting summer showcase season, I think that this is where you bring your big dogs out, and so Guerrilla would make a ton of sense. I need to see Wolverine. I need someone to put that in, like that IV in me and just like pump it into my soul at this point, because like I'm so deeply concerned on what the hell's happening over at not Naughty Dog, Insomniac, just due to the fact that before the release of Spider-Man 2, I would have said that you can argue that Insomniac is the best publisher for PlayStation because they're just producing a fuck ton of games.
Developer.
Oh, sorry, developer. Now, as time has persisted, it's like, would I rather get like 3 like great to amazing games or 1 to 2 masterpieces a generation? And I think that I reside on, I just want my masterpieces. I want my God of War. I want my Last of Us. I want my Uncharted 4. And so
I think they announced this game way too early. And I think that if it wasn't already announced, it would be canceled.
I think that
it seems like based off of the leaks that we saw and now the radio silence that they can't figure it out, like how to make this game really sing. And I think that they will eventually. I'm just curious as to like what is so hard about getting this all to like meld together for a Wolverine game.
I think part of it also is the leaks put them
100%.
back like majorly. Like I initially thought
why though?
Like the amount of internal that you'd have to deal with, like that for a company, if your personal information for a lot of your employees are getting out there and stuff like that.
Sorry, I meant why would that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just the footage being online. Do you think that they changed the game because people have seen the game?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm saying that like it's more the data aspect and the company literally probably getting literally table flipped over, upended in an afternoon. And so like initially when I saw that news story break out, I was like, damn, like that obviously fucking sucks and people's privacy don't want to deal with that and all that. But at the end of the day, I thought it was going to probably be a lesser issue when it came to getting back to the job and getting back to work. And maybe we did not give that the level of respect that it actually could have really messed up that company and shifted. Hey, I don't want to work there anymore. My shit just got released on the internet for some reason. And all this, like how much that really could have changed the whole process of that game development. And also, this is, I think, the case. The director of Wolverine left, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's other things happening outside of that where, this game's probably been shaken up multiple times. With that being said, I'm curious to see what they want this game to be. And the fact that, is this a 25-hour game? Is it a 30-hour game? Or is it a 10 to 12-hour Insomniac game that I feel like Insomniac is able to produce video games at a faster clip seemingly than most AAA studios. So even if it was a shit show at the end of 2022, I want to say 22, at this point it's like, okay, if they had to basically restart in 2023, I'm like, we should be getting back into the marketing cycle of like, all right, let's re-reveal it, and even if it comes out in a year or two, that makes sense. But like, I think that they're at the point that if they really want just to have the fans understand where they're heading, I wouldn't hate a Wolverine 2027. And I know a lot of people would be really disappointed in that, but it's just like, at least one, we know the game has a beat. We're able to go and get back behind Insomniac and say like, we're excited about this. Let's get the positive energy going on this. Because right now these question marks aren't doing them any favors. I need that desperately. I also need to know what the hell is happening with Square Enix. Like, I think that if we're talking Sony Showcase, Square Enix would be part of it 100%. If not,
it depends on what it is.
Yeah. You want to know, I told this story on stream last night. I did rewatch the opening of Summer Game Fest last year just to be like, how much did I actually dislike it? I disliked it a lot. It's not great. It's a tough ride.
What did they start with?
They started with Lego Horizon last year.
Oh, yeah.
And then they closed with Phantom Blade Zero. But I was a little bit like upset about that. So I went back to 2023 Summer Game Fest. What a fucking show. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Closing out with mother effing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We had things in there like the first gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1, which is like, even if you're not a big fighting game fan, gore and punches is always cool to go and see on screen. So I was like, there's a chance they got the gas. My fear is right now, I want the Square Enix next big announcement now. Kingdom Hearts 4, the remake. I do think that sadly we're just in a spot where we're waiting until Game Awards for either of those things.
Yeah, for those, I think that if we're going to see Square Enix do something, I think it's Final Fantasy 9, which was in the NVIDIA leak, and it's been rumored for so long, and it's the 25th anniversary. It's If it's now or never, is really the thing. If this doesn't get announced this year, it's never happening. It is officially cooked.
It does not get announced this summer. Do you think that there's still a chance down the line this year?
That it gets announced?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of weird because you would think they would want to release it in the anniversary year. So
the last thing I want to touch on this is, when do you think the showcase is? Do you think that it's early June before? My question is, pre-SGF or after SGF?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have no idea. I hope it's earlier, but like,
could you imagine what our schedule would look like if this is earlier?
Switch 2 launch, SGF, Xbox showcase, and PlayStation. It's E3, baby.
I literally think that there's a chance that we get a full-on, like, legitimately step up to the plate home runs of a Summer Game Fest season. If you're excited about it, hit subscribe, all that stuff. We're going to be covering all of it. But, like, I cannot only quell my excitement so much, because I am, like, shaking and buzzing with the amount of excitement I have going for this. The fact that it's Memorial Day weekend already, and it's like, oh shit, like Summer Game Fest, I said it with the Bonnaroo thing, we are just gas pedaling to Summer Game Fest. We are 2 weeks away from Summer Game Fest. We are less than 2 weeks away from the Switch 2 launch and everything. Like, there's so much to be excited about in the world of gaming. Adding a PlayStation State of Play to that equation, it makes me go and be like, shit. I want to be very clear. My excitement level for the State of Play, 5 out of 10. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to be a home run State of Play or anything like that. I actually kind of believe the opposite. We don't know anything concrete that could be new coming out later this year. Whereas last year it was like, cool, we have this whole gap of time and they need to announce something, and it was Concord and Astrobot. This time around, it's like, we know what the playbook is that they're running for this year.
So you start announcing stuff for later, hopefully.
But the hard part is the later stuff, I think, has already been announced when it comes to Zeros. I think that right now we know what is happening through spring 2026.
We are setting up the dominoes for the end of the console's life cycle. Like, you can announce something for 2027.
That's true.
I mean, they already just did with Intergalactic. Probably.
Yeah, probably. Which, like, when's the next time we see that game? Probably 2026 at the earliest.
I hope not for a minute.
Yeah. And then that's the question of, when do we get that Naughty Dog game in there? Which I think there's a chance. That's the other part of this. It's my hope is, this last line in the article is, quote, Grubb then noted that his sources were less willing to discuss when Sony's next presentation will be compared to his previous discussions with them, leading him to believe, but not knowing for sure, that there may be a big announcement kept under wraps. Like, end quote. Like, they 100% have something that they're cooking. The question is, what is it and how big is it? And also, how much does it speak to us in the audience? Where, like, is it going to be potentially Medium Molecule's next game that is just off the walls and we don't really know what's up? Or is it going to be something that makes us lose our mind?
I always forget about Medium Molecule. Everybody always forgets about Medium Molecule.
Shout out. Give us another little Big Planet game.
Yeah.
Headline, new marathon info. Bungie morale, launch worries, and changing plans. This is Paul Tassi at Forbes. Paul does a great write-up here. Go and if you want to know what's happening with Marathon and Bungie as a whole, go and read this one. Like, it is really great information. A lot of great game journalist work here. So give this a read. We're going further into the article, though, to discuss some of the bullet points that he laid out from his journalistic investigation with some of these employees. Quote, I've spoken to some current and former employees about Bungie's excuse for art theft, studio morale, the possibility of a delay, and some very real changes when it comes to the upcoming presentation and play testing of the game. Here's what I've learned. Bullet point number 1. The public explanation for the art theft, one ex-employee taking things in 2020, is the same one being given internally at Bungie among the rank and file. Bullet point number 2. Sony and Bungie legal are now sorting through this, and there is unlikely to be any much new information as all of this continues to unfold. It is not clear how long an audit will take of the assets to remove or find any more plagiarism. It is an expansive enough process to have Bungie not even show any footage at all in its recent live stream. Bullet point number 3. Morale is in a free fall across all departments, and, quote, the vibes have never been worse, end quote. Everyone has the same concerns about what's happening to Bungie as a studio if Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford. Bullet point number 4. There are not even hints or jokes about the delay from the September release date internally. With that said, it is entirely possible, if not likely, those conversations are happening privately between higher-up Sony and Bungie leadership. It is unclear what the plan is to launch the game in a, quote, now actively hostile environment, end quote, just a few months from now, or how to turn that around, end quote. Bungie, Marathon, we've discussed this. This is a great write by Paul, going and breaking down a lot of the information that he is hearing from this company. At this point, where do you think Bungie is going to end up with Marathon?
I think that they delay it. I think that they need to go back to the drawing board on this one, but they also are in a position where they need to have return on investment sooner than later. Destiny isn't doing the numbers that it used to. They're losing money on Destiny at this point. They need something to be a hit and to kind of have them bounce back. And that's what Sony's probably looking at them to do after purchasing them for $3 billion. That they're sitting there like, you need to deliver the goods. And I think that what they're showing right now is, and with all the negativity around it, it's just not going to work. The only future I see for this game being successful is free to play. Needs to be free to play. They need to refine the experience and take the feedback that they got from the alpha and delay it. And obviously make right on this plagiarism aspect of everything. That is unacceptable. And the fact that got past the goalie is unacceptable for a team of this scope and scale to have happen. So I think that as somebody who has kind of defended Marathon a little bit on, like, there seems to be some interest in it. Paul Tassie's the one who I saw talk about the Discord numbers being like, there's clearly interest in this game. There's 400,000 plus people in the Marathon Discord trying to get into the alpha. So there's interest in it. But then I feel like almost the alpha made everything worse, where more people got to play it. And now nobody's like, yeah, dude, Marathon is great. Everyone was like, it's fine. It's good. It has some potential, but I don't think
it's got great Bungie shooting is what I've heard. Bungie shooting, art style are great. Other than that, it's shrugs the shoulders.
Which isn't enough. And if you're going to charge $40 for it, $60, $70, like, fuck no. Nobody's going to play something that's good enough. So I don't blame the Bungie employees for the morale being low at this point. That totally makes sense to me. That, like, if I was working there, I would see the writing on the wall and be like, we're probably cooked. Like, this is bad. And the only way to fix it is probably to delay it. But I just don't know what it's going to end up doing. Like, are they going to completely overhaul the systems of this game to make it better? Like, I don't know if they can do that. Like, it might just not be a very good video game at the end of the day, and you can't have a okay game and be successful in the live service space, especially if you're going to charge for it. So, I think this is all bad all over the place in every aspect of this.
I mean, we just listed off 4 things that are just not good news across the board, and the thing that I've said throughout this weekend, I'm going to reiterate it here, is the story is not yet finished on Marathon. Like, the game's not released yet. There's a chance that it's amazing. There's a chance that we get hands-on with it in a beta and they tweak some things and we're having great multiplayer shooting fun and the Bungie shooting feels amazing and all that stuff. And, like, we have a great time with it and it ends up being getting an audience and really going and, like, hitting the numbers that they want to do. All those things are still possible. This is just a real shit chapter for this game. Like, it feels like there hasn't been a win for Marathon basically since its reveal. And now, especially when you're talking about a game with the art style being the hero aspect of this game, like, the art style is the thing that everyone looks at and it's like, that's really interesting. That's really unique. I want to play that. The fact that there were assets that were plagiarized when we're talking about art is just, like, unacceptable. It really is. Like you said very well, that you can't let this one by the goalie when you're this big of a company and stuff like that. With that being said, I still think that there are tweaks to this that they can make. The first one that they really need to figure out internally is, all right, if we're going to charge for this, how do we make it? And once again, I think that it should be free to play at this point. I want to be very clear on that. I think that I've sort of switched my tune a little bit of where this game's at.
I think it makes sense to switch your tune. Like,
Yeah.
I think that before, even from the previews of people having played it, it's like a lot of people seem to like this game. They're just not completely in love with it. And now from the alpha, it's like, I feel like it's more negative than even that was. That I thought that there was potential that they get feedback from the alpha and they grow from that and make this game better from what the previews were.
Yep.
But then now I'm like, if you're building from the way that people are talking about from the alpha, it's like how much can you do in this amount of time?
Especially when it's like the shooting feels great. I think that one of the things that people need is proximity chat and stuff like that. The fact that that's not in the game, that's a immediate thing that will make this game better when it comes to an extraction shooter and being able to go and talk to an enemy and be like, hey man, dude, don't shoot me in the face and all that. Like, I'm just getting my loot, you get your loot, we're all good. Like those types of human in-game interaction that makes extraction shooters, by my understanding, a lot more fun, needs to be there day one. It needs to be an addition, and that's something that I do think you can solve with time. You can delay this for 6 months, a year, and get a feature like that in the game. Figure that one out with their servers and the technology that you need to put into a game to allow that to happen. With that being said, we just need a lot of good press. People need to, in a major way, get their hands on the beta and stuff like that. But as of right now, we're talking about a potentially $40 Bungie title. The big reason that a lot of people were okay with that was it's a Bungie title, and Bungie makes great games, and people want to hop in and shoot around in Bungie games and stuff like that. I do think at this point that less people are excited about it. The Bungie faithful are seeing these stories and being like, shit, like, I don't know if I'm as excited about it, especially when I love the artwork and stuff like that. At this point, $10. Lease it for $10 and put a sick ass battle pass in there and be like, hey, we want there to be some sort of entry to the door fee, and then we hope that everyone else hops in. I think you or $20, like that 10-20 area gets a lot more people in than a $40 area, especially when it's I think I can convince any of my friends to pick up a game for $20 to play for a weekend. Like, I think $20 is that reasonable area. The hard part is hey, it's $40. That's more than a night out. That's more than getting a really good meal or going on a date or going to the movies for an afternoon. Like, $40 is a bit.
I don't think you can convince your friends to pick up a game for $20 if it's not excellent.
I do think
for a multiplayer game.
I think that the reason that you would is, hey, this game is made by the people that made Halo and Destiny, and let's play it.
Yeah, but you just have so many other options for free-to-play stuff that are probably, at this point, better quality than the $20 game. Like, just go play Apex Legends and you'll probably have a better time.
True, but you're forgetting the fact that the quote from How I Met Your Mother, new is always better. There are people that want to play something new. How often do you see a TikTok making a joke on the fact of, we just played the same shit over and over again. Let's play something new. Let's play something exciting. And then, surely enough, you end up going back to the new old shit in the same way that I go back and play Valorant and I play Fortnite and I like those types of live service games. But I do like playing the next Call of Duty because it's new. There's something, there's a game there to learn and hop into. I think that you are able to, hey, we've been playing Fortnite for 4 straight years. Let's go and try out this game for $20. It's made by the people that made Halo. It's such an easy sell. It's, even though obviously a lot of those people don't work there anymore, it's such an easy sell. It's such a good brand that you really honestly do not want to F up with something like Marathon doing poorly. But yeah, I think $20 is now that area of, if you're going to charge, I don't think you are able to charge 40 anymore. I really think that would be a dead on arrival type of decision. Final headline, Bioshock announcement featuring Rapture coming soon, it is claimed. This is Grant Taylor Hill at Insider Gaming. Quote, it has been reported that 2K is preparing an announcement regarding the Bioshock franchise, which has stood relatively silent for more than a decade. It was claimed that the impending announcement will land before, quote, the end of summer, end quote, and it'll feature Rapture, the underwater kingdom built and run by Andrew Ryan and the iconic setting of the first game released in 2007. The report made it clear that no details about the announcement could be found aside from the suggestion that it could be a remake or remaster of the original Bioshock. This is a big part of it. The word aside in the article was bolded, meaning it's not going to be that. Aside from it being a remake or a remastered.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so
It really doesn't need it, in my opinion.
But we played it earlier this year. Great.
And it's already been remastered once. Yeah.
Connor, Bioshock, it has been on my goddamn bingo card for Summer Game Fest since 2018. Is it time?
Yes, but I don't think it's going to be SGF.
Okay, let's talk. Where are we going?
Gamescom.
Oh, you know 2K and Gamescom.
Before the end of summer?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think that you don't say that unless it's later. It's at the very start of summer, which would be Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
That, well, technically it's not even summer.
Connor, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. The second that Connor, I'm wearing freaking shorts right now. It's
so
summer.
cold out right now.
Connor comes into the apartment this morning and he's like, I'm freezing. How the fuck are you wearing shorts? And I already took the trash out. I've been outside and stuff like that. I'm like, it's like 57 degrees. It's barbecue weather, dude.
No, I'm freezing cold right now. Yeah, so I think Gamescom, I'm excited to finally see more Bioshock. When they say it's been more than a decade, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, people are complaining about GTA 6 being more than a decade. It's been as long for a Bioshock game, and we're probably not getting this Bioshock game before GTA 6.
First gut reaction, though, of going back to Rapture, I'm like, do we really need to do that again? Like, it has been long enough, though, that I'm coming around on the idea. And then also a Bioshock game without Ken Levine in Rapture. It's like, well, we already got that once, and it's Bioshock 2, and that game was amazing. So I think that I'm okay with this. I would be more interested in a new Bioshock game if it wasn't in Rapture. But if you're going to send me back to Rapture, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, I'm about it. Like, come on, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get back to Bioshock. This is such a slam dunk for 2K. This is one of their IPs that they've just put on the shelf for so long. I think a large part of that was they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Of like, how the F do we make a Bioshock game without Ken Levine? But now we got some hope. There's a chance. I am really looking forward to this. Like, I think that this is going to be probably really good. No matter what, you have the bones that are so well of just like what makes a Bioshock game fun, of setting and plasmids and all those things that are just like, let's have a great time. Let's play some Bioshock, especially if it is relatively soon. I think Gamescom is a terrific call out. 2K last year showed up big at Gamescom with Borderlands 4 and Mafia: The Old Country, closing and opening that show. I think that those types of announcements are Keeley ass announcements. Like during the betting special, I think two of the lowest amounts during the parlay were Borderlands and Mafia: The Old Country just showing up and hanging out because they love to market those games everywhere. And Keeley loves to market big, exciting games, especially games that he can show off that raw gameplay. So I think that it would make complete sense for this to show up at Gamescom. I think that that is such a great call out of, yeah, if it's by the end of summer, it easily could be then. Is there any chance we get this to open or close SGF?
It's possible.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd say both of them are equally as possible. I would just bet on Gamescom.
Yeah, I would also lean Gamescom. Just like, I feel like that's another one of the things. The rumor mills would be turning too much if this was a little bit more imminent, because it would be, it's imminent. Like this is happening really soon compared to, like you said, end of the summer. This show is only made possible by our lovely people over at the Dearly Beloved members on Patreon, and all the people over on Patreon just in general, supporting this team, supporting the dream, getting excited about this summer content because there's a lot of it. But shout out to the Dearly Beloved members that get their name read at the end of every single podcast we do. Amazing members like MG Dunbar,
Mr. Munchies,
Farmer Spud,
Rocket Tater,
Nofi,
Apathetic Titan,
JC Falcon,
Swampy Bits,
Jaxie,
Sconzi,
Cheery Sentry,
Straken at 1978,
Tyler D,
Scooterman,
Das Goopy,
Dinkelberg Rules,
Centuro,
Hook'em Horns,
Go Nash,
Neutral Sphere,
Charlie W,
Easton C,
Stooby Dooby Doo, Stooby Dooby Doo,
Calvin M,
we nuke this kingdom,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
JC,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Big Bag,
Metal Nate,
The Patty Cake,
Bear Pog,
Yogi,
Dom,
Hole Nem,
Colin C,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex Golden,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Jesse F,
Only One Rufus,
Drifter X1, Skirt,
Presto,
Maverick,
Goops,
JMAP3,
Ali Benali,
Michael.
and Kingdom Hearts Sucks.
Thank you so much for joining us during this episode of the Casual Gaming News Conversation. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.